Hey, this is Eddie Olczyk. You're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 121 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manello. What is going on, my friend?
What's up, boys? How we doing?
Doing well. Energy's good. Got some good vibes going. Good Tuesday evening recording with an interview following, so can't complain.
Nothing like a freezing cold Tuesday to follow up a weekend of 75 and sunny here in Maryland.
Absolutely brutal. Some brutal winds outside too. My car nearly flipped over on the way home from work. But I don't think that guy has his problem up near him. Our buddy Mac Vogel up in Wisco, where we will be this weekend. Super excited. How you doing?
What's up, fellas? I'm doing good. I actually had some crazy wind. I went to the Brewers home opener this past Thursday, and there was like wind advisories. The team even announced like, "Hey, don't set up tents for your tailgates, and like be careful with like smaller grills blowing away and such." Because it was like I'm talking like 30-mile-per-hour winds and shit like that. So
Jesus,
it
dude.
was a little brutal, but that's what they got the dome for. So the tailgate was a little tough, but once you're inside, you're good.
Just lay down on your side. It's fine.
Speaking of opening day, I've been to two O's games already, and we're like 1 week into the season. I think that's
There
a
we
new
go.
record for me.
Nice.
Yeah. And you don't
They
need to go to another one for the rest of the year.
It's probably, dude. I couldn't tell you what happened in either of them. It's just the way it goes. Center
Baseball's
field
back, baby.
I was at the center field bar at Camden on Saturday. That was the game where we played the Yanks and we got the walk-off run.
Walk.
They
Yeah.
walk. Yeah, sorry. Run, walk. My brain's in mush. We left in like the ninth inning. We were all just like, we're not staying for this. And I was like, this is so weird feeling. I feel like I need to watch this. Would you ever leave a tied ball game, Mac?
I would not. I hate leaving game. I used to get real mad when like my mom would take me to like a Caps game on a school night or something, and she'd be like, "Okay, but I have work, so if it goes late, we're leaving." Like I used to hate that shit.
You're like, Mom, hockey does not adhere to your work schedule.
Even if it was a blowout, I always hated leaving early. Now, if I go to a ball game, like especially a Brewer game, if I'm tailgating for 3 hours prior, if it's the seventh or eighth inning and it's a blowout, I'll dip. But
What do you mean if tailgating prior? I don't think that.
well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
exactly. Look at where you live and look at like, what you guys like to do. I mean, one
True,
plus
true.
one is two.
So real talk, what's the weather look like this weekend? What am I packing?
It's apparently
Besides
supposed to
12,
rain.
12 hockey jerseys, besides that.
It's apparently supposed to rain like the entire fucking time.
Cool. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Damn it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next episode.
Wait. Bars have roofs, right?
Most of them.
Yeah, we're good.
Blueback Kitchen.
But yeah,
does.
it's probably gonna be like 40 degrees and like rainy.
Oh
Okay.
my God. All right. Well, you know what? I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Yeah. In case you haven't caught on, next recording that goes up, the next episode will be a live one. So that should be a lot of fun. All right, let's get to it here. But before we do, just a couple house cleaning things. Spring merch drop will be up on the store. Hopefully, we believe by the end of April. That's the goal. We're gonna have a store cleanup. Go snag your shit now while you still can. It's going to be gone in the next 2 weeks. And we are still in the top 10 in Sharp Rank as of right now for NHL leaderboards. So that's always nice. It's been a little, I wouldn't say rocky lately. It's just like you win two, you lose one.
It's the weird point in the season, man. Like, it's just like from trade deadline to the end of the season, it's just so weird. You really have to
Playoff betting gets so interesting. Like I'm especially excited to use Sharp Rank for the playoffs because I have a few ideas of how I might be able to climb up in the leaderboards a bit with that. So
yeah, absolutely. And per usual, this episode is brought to you by Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh Brackish Life. Brackish Life has also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. I actually shared that video of the capitals with Rink to Reef and the sticks with the oyster habitats at Kettler. Shared that on my Facebook. If you haven't seen it, you can go find it. Always happy to, support a good brand that's trying to do good in the environment. All righty. Question of the day. Mac, hit us.
All right. So being that we're going to have you guys out here in Milwaukee just a few days from now, I know, Harrison, you've been here once. Nick, am I correct? You've never been in Milwaukee, right?
I have not.
Okay. So I just want to ask broadly, tell me what you know about Milwaukee. Like, what comes to mind? I kind of want to know what things like jump out to you, or if anything, do you know anything about the city?
My first reaction is just Blueback Kitchen and some guy shooting bats out of the air with a shotgun.
Oh my God.
So I've actually been twice. One was before COVID. One was recently.
Mm-hmm.
The cheese curds. I don't know if that's a Wisconsin thing, but I had never heard of them before I went up there. So that is good. Miller Lite's brewed up there, right? That's another thing.
Yep.
Fish fry. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Friday fish fry.
Any kind of meat raffle is big in the Midwest. So
those are probably the three things I would say.
Yeah. I would say just like stereotypical Wisconsin stuff, like deer hunting, bars and churches on every street, that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you guys are all on point. I will end this brief QOTD session by asking one follow-up question. Do any of you know what a proper Wisconsin beer emergency refers to?
Is it just running out of beer?
I mean, you're on the right track, but it's a little more specific than that.
Running out of beer on a Sunday when all the liquor stores are closed?
Getting warmer, but they're not closed on Sundays, so no.
Nice. Gotta love that.
I have no idea. I don't know. Is it a different day of the week? Is that the only issue?
No, they're open every day of the week.
Oh, is it when you drink all your beer and the liquor store like is closed and hasn't opened up yet for the following day?
So basically, and I told Harrison about this while he was here, but in Milwaukee and some other parts of Wisconsin, I had to look this up because it turns out it's not the whole state. It kind of like depends on the jurisdiction, but for the most part, the surrounding Milwaukee area does not sell beer and liquor after 9 p.m. like period. So if you don't get like your beer before 9 p.m. and then it's so basically a beer emergency refers to it's 8:59 p.m. and you realize you don't have any beer. But the beer emergency really isn't even a beer emergency because all it means is you're going out because the only place
you're going to the bar.
You're going to the bar to get beer.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
Nick, you got really warm there. It sounds like you almost, have like your own personal type of beer emergency in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh man. All righty. Let's get to the league news. Nick, drive the bus.
Sure. Let's go ahead and get started with the Tim Stutzle, Brendan Gallagher situation. First thing that comes to mind when I think of Tim Stutzle is, Harry, what did you call him that one time? Like Jeff something?
I can't remember.
Well,
I called him Jimmy Stutzle.
I think they call him. I'm pretty sure they call
his
him
nickname
Jimmy.
is Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great throwback. If you haven't listened to that episode, to the first time I think the three of us ever recorded live in my basement. But so little dust up here between these guys following a hit on Stutzle by Nick Suzuki. Gallagher, following the game, basically called him out, saying that he was flopping, embellishing the injury because he was laying on the ice following the hit. Stutzle didn't really bite on the comments at all, kind of dismissed him, was like, I'm not going to really touch this. Mac, what did you think? I mean, this was definitely one that a lot of people were on opposite sides of the fence of.
Yeah, all of hockey Twitter is up in arms about this one for sure. It's a weird one. When I first heard Gallagher's comments, I was kind of like, yeah, like get him. I hate when people dive, and nobody likes like somebody that's just gonna be a softie like that, somebody like a Sidney Crosby type or something like that.
Evgeny Malkin, Brian Russ,
right,
yeah. Chris Letang.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, don't get me started there. But you know what I
Tyler
mean?
Kennedy.
It's like
Shut up, future guest.
anyway, you're hearing this and you're like, yeah, and specifically Gallagher talked about like his coach had a thing where it was like, if you're laying on the ice and the trainer or the coach has to come out and get you, like, you better be fucking hurt. You're not going to do that just to like get a whistle. Like, you get up and you get off the ice unless like you really need some help, which I kind of agree with. Now I'm also seeing everybody on Twitter say like, oh, this sucks so much that like a washed up, like kind of shitty. I mean, Gallagher doesn't have the best rap for being like a great dude. He gets
He's
a
a
lot of,
rat.
yeah, basically. So, people are basically saying like, oh, this sucks that like this shitbag of a player called out like one of the young talented guys, and now it's probably going to affect like his like play or whatever. But like, honestly, I don't know. I don't really feel that bad for the guy. First of all, he's young. Like, young guys take shit in the league. And second of all, just how about don't dive, my man? Like, just play the game. I've seen it too. And apparently he's not like, Gallagher's not the only one that's called him out too. This is just the one that's like getting the most press because it's the most recent.
Anyways, moving on. Ryan Hartman and Evander Kane. We had a little dust up with them following their game last week. They get separated. I think both guys were tossed, or it was towards the end of the game, so they just tossed them anyways. Hartman flips off Kane, gives him a nice little "how you doing? Thanks for coming. Keep the change" as they're getting taken off the ice. And he got fined for it. The NHL is pretty, open and shut. Like, yeah, you flip people off, you'll get fined. I mean, this isn't the NBA where you do it 4 times in a game and tell someone to suck your dick on the way out, and then they just, give you a slap on the wrist. But it's a real sports league that'll actually fine you for it. Anyways, we all know the history with Evander Kane. He's got some little, issues with his ex-wife. Anyways, she decided to Venmo Ryan Hartman money to help pay for the fine. What did you guys think of that?
I think it was like $200 too. I remember it was definitely 3 digits, like $100, $200, something like that.
Like, come on, put another 0 on there. What are you doing?
Yeah, what, the divorce filing didn't get enough,
Seriously.
It was
what do you think, Mac?
I think that I don't know. I don't love like the whole Anna Kane, Evander Kane situation. I don't love taking a side because I feel like both of them are in the wrong for many reasons.
Yeah.
But in general, I do love what kind of was sparked out of this that happened with Ryan Hartman. Nick, if you want to read on the rest of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as she posted that she Venmoed Ryan Hartman and I guess circulated his Venmo name, tons of Wild fans just started sending him money left and right. And he ended up saying like, I'm going to pay the fine, but like everything that you guys have sent me, like I'm going to donate. So I think they donated it to Children's Minnesota, ended up donating like $4,000 and change. So it's like 20 grand that he ended up giving to this foundation. So something good comes out of something, Mac, like you said, that's not so good. So great to see that.
Great move. And it just kind of shows you like how crazy the internet is and what kind of world we live in. A guy flips someone off and one thing goes on Twitter, it turns into 20 grand going to a children's hospital. It's just kind of wild.
I will say it's been very interesting to watch Evander Kane this year and how well he's done, honestly, as far as offensive output. And there's been some rumors circling whether or not the Oilers are actually thinking about extending him this summer. So it'll be interesting to follow that as well. But he definitely got a little hot-headed the other day. So
very true. Moving on, 2 longtime Philadelphia Flyers trainers are suing the club. Jim McCrossan, who is 64 years old, he has been with the team since 2000, as well as assistant athletic trainer Sal Rafa, who's 42 and has been with the team since 2004. Both were diagnosed with nearly identical and incurable blood diseases a few months apart from each other this past spring and summer. Unfortunately, McCrossan's diagnosis is terminal, so something that you never want to hear. And these two are alleging that they contracted said illnesses due to specific cancer-causing carcinogens that comes from Zambonis. I'm assuming with the exhaust that comes from the Zambonis.
Exactly.
So their training offices are directly next to the Zamboni room, and I think that's where the brunt of the lawsuit is coming from.
It was basically, they said something about citing like poor ventilation system in that room or something like that, where basically those fumes were going like right into that room. And being that they've been with the club for about 20 years now, it's like, prolonged exposure to that kind of shit is going to cause some serious damage. It clearly has.
This isn't the first time we've heard about Zamboni emissions causing some type of issue. I know that I think it was like 2017 or 2018. There was a D3 ACHA team where the players were reporting like they had players like fainting in the locker room and they like weren't practicing and shit. I can't remember what was going on.
That rings a bell. I remember something like that for sure. No,
I can't name the exact school, but this is not the first time we've heard some type of like health problem arising out of this.
No, I mean, it's any car exhaust. I mean, it's you have to watch out for that stuff. I think it's more prevalent with Zambonis because you have a lot of chemicals and stuff that are being mixed and heated and frozen in there, and just the way that they react with each other, I'm assuming, is what causes this.
Yeah, I mean, this is just terrible news. And honestly, the only good thing I feel like that could possibly come out of this is hopefully all the other NHL teams take a serious look at what's going on with their Zambonis and make damn sure that they're not causing any problems to anybody on their staff. So
NHL partners with Roomba.
There you go.
Just saying.
You should be business development manager.
I should. I've got better ideas than their marketing team. That's for sure. Moving on, Hobie Baker winner Dryden McKay has accepted a 6-month period of ineligibility for an anti-doping violation. So McKay tested positive for ostranine. I think I said that right. Don't really know.
Something. I don't really know. It was weird. I tried really hard figuring out what this like meant when I read all the like legal language around it. And I had to just look in the comments to see somebody finally explain it. That basically what I took away from it is that he was taking some sort of dietary supplement. The supplement was like tainted or something, like was contaminated with whatever this illegal chemical is. And it was an accident. And they found like the slightest amount in his like test. I don't know how true this is, but somebody compared it to like a grain of salt in the swimming pool is like roughly how much it was. And I guess if he was, something also said that if he wasn't able to prove that it was an accident, he could have faced up to like 2 years of ineligibility and like removal of any like awards and like prizes and shit like that. So it's good that he was able to prove that. And I think he just accepted the 6-month thing because he was like, whatever, that's basically just the off season anyway. So let's just get this over with. And like, but it is kind of stupid. A lot of people were saying like, why should you be punished in the first place for something that was clearly an accident on like the supplier's side?
Right.
Well, I'm glad you summed that up because I saw that McKay published, like a screenshot of his notes app on his Instagram. It's probably like 3 or 4 pages, and I just didn't have the brain capacity at lunch to read all that. So I'm glad you summed it up for me. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what he said. I didn't see that, but I'll have to take a look at that later.
I've been on a big kick on energy drinks lately. I would bet money there's some type of ostarine flowing through my blood right now. So for whatever that's worth, yeah.
Pounding those A-Shocks.
Dude, they're great. Can we please
9,
get sponsored?
Baby. That's what I'm talking about.
They're phenomenal. They taste great. They say it's pure energy. I don't know if that's true or not, but
we got to get you one of his A-Shock shirts. They are fantastic.
We need to get an A-Shock sponsorship.
That would be nice. So Chase, if you're listening, which you're not, hook it up. This just reminded me of the Nate Schmidt situation with Vegas. It was like something with him. I forget exactly what the substance was, but Matt, going back to your point about like a grain of salt in a swimming pool, they said the same thing about his. It was just like a tainted supplement that, wasn't clean for whatever reason. This is what happened. So
Backstrom with the Olympics, same
right.
thing.
I also like, do we need to maybe like change the margin of error here? Because like a grain of salt in a swimming pool and it's still testing positive is.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of guys over the years in all sports that have had to go through hell just to get like proven that this was like a misunderstanding. You mentioned Backstrom, Schmidt. We're talking about McKay. Just this year, former Orioles catcher Manny Pena, who got signed with the Brewers, same deal. And he's actually facing, I think, like 90-day suspension or something like that, 90 games, something like that. And that was because he was trying to start a family with his kids, and his doctor with his wife, his doctor prescribed some kind of medication to like help with that. And it apparently had something that was a no-no in it. So,
that's brutal. Yeah. That's a rough one.
Yep.
Honestly, like, how is this not on the team doctors?
That too. I mean, there's a lot of people that it seems like should get punished before the player. Like I mean, they have so much on their mind. You really expect them to do the research other than just to listen to the guy that they pay to do the research. Like, I don't know.
Also, it's like, hey, my player is taking this. It's like, don't you think you were the one that told him to take that?
Yeah, there's a chance of that. I hear what you're saying. I think we've covered our basis on this one.
Yeah. Reliable sources say that Marc-Andre Fleury will play at least one more season in the NHL. Harry, is he coming home to Pittsburgh?
I don't know. I actually read per Michael Russo that there's interest in the Wild bringing him back. So it sounds like there's a chance it could be Minnie, and it's not a slam dunk he comes back to Pittsburgh.
I think it'll depend a lot on what both of those teams do this postseason for sure. However, I will say if the Penguins have trouble with Jari again this postseason, like if they're another first round exit or even a second round exit, and it's like mostly because Jari didn't look right or something, I would not be surprised to see them do everything in their power to try to bring him back. And I would totally see him like wanting to retire as a Penguin. I feel like that would totally match up with like what he wants to do. So I don't want
he'll
to
definitely like if he doesn't go back, he'll do the 1 day contract thing to retire.
Something like that
for
probably.
Sure.
Let's just hope Jari plays in the playoffs because we got some fish to fry here later in the episode.
Okay.
True.
Right.
The Washington Capitals are apparently going to bring back the Screaming Eagle logo to their uniforms next season. I would like to personally say that anyone that shared this post, you suck, and you were clearly just doing this for clickbait. Because they're not doing that. They're bringing it back for their reverse retro next season.
Give a little eyeballs emoji there.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird language used with this one. I was pretty sure it was just the reverse retro, which I mean, God, I would love to see it. I wish we would change our home sweaters so bad. I think the normal Capitals shit is like outdated now. Like we got to do something better than that. But
that was a reverse retro if you think about it, because they took the old school Capital logo, which was on white, put it on red, and
I think I retweeted from the EB account like the mock-up that got leaked, that what it's supposed to look like. It's black. What I think people don't know is, are they using the brown and blue as the accents, or are they using the red and blue that you guys use now as the accents? I don't know the answer to that.
I can't imagine black, red, and blue would look very good, especially because it's navy blue. But
I think that a black, like I think that the color, like the black Capitol Dome jersey, but with the Screaming Eagle on it instead of
incredible.
Sick.
That would be so
That would
sick.
be nasty.
I would love to see the Caps wear like all black and like gold and white. That'd be sweet.
Well, speaking of the Capitals, Mac, I think you got some weird geeky Caps stats that you want to share with our listeners. I can't believe I said that without stuttering.
I do. Yeah. I drank coffee too late in the day yesterday and I didn't learn my lesson. I'm doing it again right now. But
I was going to say,
yeah, I ended up just could not fall asleep last night. So I'm just scrolling Twitter and stumbled across a couple of pretty interesting ones. So last night with the Caps versus Colorado Avalanche game, the Caps as a franchise as a whole went +1 in goal differential for just the third time ever in franchise history. The only other 2 times that we've been plus in goal differential were on the very first night of their existence back in 1974. We played the Rangers on our first game ever. We scored the first goal. So, hey, we're +1 goal differential. Rangers tied it up. We took the lead again. Hey, we're +1 again. Rangers tied it up. Rangers beat us. And we have not been plus in goal differential ever since that night until last night. And since we won 3-2, we are currently +1 exactly, which is just wild to me. Apparently a few times, like 2 weeks ago, we reached 0 and everyone was like, oh shit, they're so close. But then we suffered like those blowout losses to like Carolina and Minnesota. And then everyone was
Toronto.
like, oh, now we're like -10 again. And like took a while to get back up to it. But then there was the Flyers blowout that helped us get a little closer.
So this is breaking my brain. So when you say +1 goal differential, like for the season, like for
the
season?
franchise,
the entire, like if you add up every Capitals goal that we have ever had from 1974 to 2022 and combine that with every goal that we've ever allowed from 1974 to 2022.
Oh my God, that's a stat.
I know.
How
It's
do you
wild.
even like go about figuring that one out? Like,
Don't ask me. Not a math guy. I just think it's cool that somebody did figure that out and that I can
what a
process it.
weird stat. Okay, now I get it because I was reading this. I was like, man, I must be stupid.
It's
Like,
a
I don't
weird
get
one
this.
for sure. It's geeky, but
I am
I
stupid.
thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
The other one, and this one arguably maybe even cooler, Ovechkin scored his 10th career goal against the Avalanche last night. He now has 10 or more goals against 28 different NHL franchises, which is tied for most in NHL history with none other than Joe Sakic, Brendan Shanahan, and Marian Hossa. All of those players have scored 10 or more goals against 28 different franchises. Now here's the kicker. OV currently has 9 goals against the Arizona Coyotes in his entire career, and the Caps face the Yotes this Friday. If he scores 1 goal, he would take lead of that stat and would have 29 different franchises that he scored 10 or more against.
How many does he have against Vegas? Because I feel like he can't be that far behind because you think about the Cup final and then everything else.
I don't think that playoffs count though.
I was gonna say,
I'm pretty sure it's probably regular season only. So we only play them a handful of times. Like we've only
Twice.
played them 4 times ever in the regular season or
Maybe.
something like that.
yeah.
And he probably only has, I don't know, 2 or
True.
3.
Do you think he's aware of this stat and the odd that he could set a record Friday?
I'll tell you what, this guy sets a new random fucking record every single night. I don't know how he can keep track of all of them. I'm sure some reporters or like some friends have like mentioned some to him or whatever. And he probably was like, oh, that's interesting. But I doubt he like is acutely aware of it. He probably has some idea, but
Interesting.
Pretty cool.
Speaking of the Vegas Golden Knights, they lost to the Devils last night, Monday, 3-2 on home ice in what likely ended their playoff hopes for this season. They now, as a result of that loss, have a 21% chance to make the playoffs with 5 games left to play. What are your thoughts on VGK?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Loser.
When I saw that they lost in regulation and that Vancouver won, I thought the same thing, like, oh, they're toast. But then I looked at the standings and somehow they're still totally within striking distance, honestly.
They're going to get in. They're going to find a way to get
Vegas?
in.
Here's the thing. Here's the weird thing.
No.
If you look at the division, Calgary is in first by a fuck ton. Then you have Edmonton, 94 points in second. They're not going to catch them. The Kings have 90 points in third, and Vegas has 87. That's only 3 points, and they both have 5 games left. They could get in instead of LA still.
Can you
I think they're going to get in just solely based on the fact that we've been shitting on them for 4 weeks in a row.
They're 5 points out of the wild card spot. That is a little tricky one, but they could catch LA and play the Oilers.
It's still a 21% chance. I don't know. So
I mean, yeah.
Can one of you pull up Los Angeles's final games? Because I'm looking at Golden Knights is here.
Yeah,
they play the Caps. They play the Caps the day you're listening to this. I would say the Caps will probably they're playing well.
I don't know. It's a season-long road trip for the Caps too, by the way. Thank you, NHL scheduling. You can
Listen,
go fuck yourself.
I know exactly what you're trying to do here, and I'm not falling for it. The Caps are red hot, and they're on the road. They're the best road team in the league. I'd give the edge to the Caps.
Ooh,
then they have
they
have the Sharks. Then they have the Stars, which I don't think they'd win against the Stars. Then the Hawks, and then the Blues. Depending on what the Blues standing is, they might play their Stars or sit them. So they could potentially go like 2-3, 3-2 somewhere in there. I would say
that Dallas one is big too because they're chasing them if they're still trying to get a wild card. Here's the Kings' remaining schedule.
This is interesting.
Yeah, it's Anaheim, Chicago, Anaheim, Seattle, Vancouver.
LA's in.
I know you're telling me, okay, 5 non-playoff teams as of right now. However, Anaheim and LA, you never know. If that's a blood rivalry, the Ducks would love nothing more than to spoil the Kings' playoff hopes. Chicago, they'll probably beat them. Seattle, they'll probably beat them. But the last game of the year against Vancouver's still trying to make the playoffs too. They've won like 6 games in a row or something right now.
That could be a good one.
I'll tell you what, this whole West situation is crazy. I'm not counting out LA, Nashville, Dallas, Vegas, or Vancouver. I'll tell you who's fucked. Winnipeg. They're fucked.
Big time.
They're
But
done.
Yeah, I'm not counting any of those other teams out. One more thing I will say about this whole Vegas situation. Did you guys happen to see Pete DeBoer's comments after the game last night?
I didn't. What did he say?
He threw Laner under the bus, man. Like
Really? He
yeah,
didn't even
and
play, did he?
no, he did.
Oh, he
And
did?
I think he did. But either way, he kind of just threw him
He
under the
might have
bus.
played. He might still be hurt. We don't know.
We
I
never
can
know
check
what's
it.
going on with that guy. Either way, he kind of threw him under the bus like as a hold. It wasn't even necessarily just about last night, although he did say, somebody asked like, what can you talk about your decision to go with Laner? So he must have played.
He played.
And what he said was basically, he was like, well, anytime you put a goalie in, you're basically, all you're asking is for him to be better than the guy at the other end of the night. And tonight that wasn't the case at all.
Ooh.
Which is like, it's just not the thing you say, especially at, I don't know what you're thinking this point in the year. Like
With your goaltending situation, like maybe don't do that.
That's not the thing to say, especially with a goalie who's known for having like some like mental health problems. Like if anything, you want to hype your guy up, right? So that was weird. He basically said Logan Thompson is the only goalie that's been here all year and like that I could rely on. And then he tried to catch himself and be like, which I know like some of that is like out of their control because Laner was out last week for like personal reasons, like something with his family, I believe. He had to like miss a few games. But yeah, DeBoer was basically just like saying that Laner and Brossois have just not been reliable enough this year.
Who's more likely to stay a Golden Knight, Laner or DeBoer?
Ooh.
I don't know what Laner's term looks like.
I would say who's more likely.
I think Laner has.
I'd say DeBoer. I think it's too soon. They just brought him on like right before COVID happened, didn't they? I don't know. I think we can sum this up in one tweet that I thought was an A+1 from Greg Wyshynski. Good morning. The New Jersey Devils walked into Vegas and dropped the Golden Knights playoff qualification probability to 21% behind Vezina level goaltending from a 34-year-old journeyman whose claim to fame was having hamburgers thrown on the ice by fans during games.
That's amazing.
Done.
Perfect.
That sums
Drop
this up.
The mic. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Awesome. But yeah, it's not looking good in Vegas. And then here's one more thing that I found, also tweeted by Greg Wyshynski, which I just want to ask because right now the Rangers are flying high. There's no problems. Igor's got 2 shutouts in the last 4. Nobody can score on them. Kreider hits 50. The bread man is kicking his leg as high as he possibly fucking can. And in their last 12 games, they have played 4 of those against playoff teams. 3 of them are against the Penguins, who they've beaten in the season series 3-1, and 1 of them was against the Hurricanes. My question to you is the Rangers' momentum right now a little bit overhyped given their competition?
I think there's a lot of teams out there right now that are being overhyped. The thing that's kind of hard to look at though is that stretch towards the playoffs based on like who you played recently. I think the Rangers are always going to be overhyped. Same, we'll touch on this a little bit later as the Leafs, just because of the market that they play in. But, and maybe you could say their play as of late has been a little bit overhyped. I still think they're dangerous.
Oh, they're dangerous, no doubt. I think, yeah, it's possible they're being a little overhyped. I will be interested to see how they close out their final 5 games. I don't know who they're playing off the top of my head, but it's all about momentum, right? Going into the playoffs. And the other thing is, did you peak too soon? Which, yeah, maybe the Rangers did, but I don't know.
They're playing well. I know that. I mean,
their goaltending is making me not want to play them. That's what I'll say.
I was gonna bring this up again. Like, would you rather play Florida or would you rather play New York? I'm not gonna do that right now. Let's save that for when we're in Milwaukee and have a few beers in us and just really vent it all out about what's coming our way.
I don't want to play anyone.
Yeah, but
first round bye.
Yeah,
I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were. So silly of us not to mention who our interview guest is this episode. It's Rick Rowley, our good buddy, fellow Leafs diehard. Interview. Yeah. We had that last night. Unfortunately, Matt couldn't join us. There were some scheduling conflictions. We had to make it work, but it was a great interview. That's going to be coming up here shortly. Real quick before we get to that, the 3 stars of the week, we got Tarasenko, first star, 7 goals, 4 assists in 4 games. Holy shit, that's crazy. Kevin Fiala, 5 goals, 5 assists in 4 games. And then third star, Mike Smith, played 2 games last week and got 2 shutouts. Also had 69 nice saves.
Nice.
What did I tell you guys last week? Mike Smith is the goalie for
He's
game
back.
1 for Edmonton. There's no way. There's no question in my mind. And you know what sold it for me is that assist on that
Oh man,
McDavid overtime goal.
I would honestly, I'd put it to the Edmonton D-men. I don't know if any of them could make a better breakout pass than that.
Oh, seriously. And my whole thing is he's a 6th player basically, and he's still a good goal.
Yeah.
He has an offensive upside, which I can't believe I'm saying about a goaltender in the NHL. But he literally has an offensive upside. Like,
welcome to Empty Betters. We give
was
goalies
he the
offensive
goalie
upsides.
for the Yotes run to the conference final, or was that Briz?
I think he.
No, it was Smith. It was
Okay.
Smith. It was Smith.
Are you sure?
Biz talks about it all the time.
Okay. Either way, it's Mike Smith game 1, not Koskinen. No fucking question about it.
Easy at this point.
Alrighty, I think that wraps up around the league. We're gonna toss off to Rick Rowley, but before we do, I think Nick has a word for our sponsor.
Yeah, actually, before we get to that, I want to talk about one thing real quick. I was walking to work the other day. I work downtown in Fells Point in Baltimore, and as I was walking around, it was a gorgeous day out. This was last week. There's a ton of people out on the water, just hanging out, looking like they were having a ton of fun, which just made me think that summer may be over, but there's still clearly a better time to get out on the water. So if you're looking to finance that new boat or yacht you've always dreamed of, well, you're in luck, because the Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he is the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, the Yacht Lender has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. Don't wait. Apply today at yachtlender.com. or check him out on Instagram at Yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. We're going to go ahead and send it over to our boy Rick right now.
And we are now long overdue. That didn't make sense. It's been overdue since we had this guy on our podcast last time, and it is so good to see him. He's been all over our Instagram feeds, and I'm sure he's been all over yours. It's our pleasure to welcome back Mr. Rick Rowley. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, buds, don't worry about fumble fucking the words. I'm sitting here and enjoying every minute. I'm tossing some Nick Rep boys for this interview.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm doing good too, by the way, boys.
We don't shame fumble fuck around here. It happens all the time.
Not at all.
Not at all. I on my podcast, I call it stroke time, boys. And I get enough of those every episode. So but everything's good, man. It's snowing here in Toronto tonight, just so you guys know.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not fucking kidding you, bro. Look how, if I looked out the window, all of a sudden I saw it, man. It looked like it was going full fucking Pablo Escobar, bro. Like a snowstorm, you know?
God, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I saw your
2 weeks
story like
from
an hour ago. It was just snowing sideways. That's nuts, dude.
2 weeks until May, man. I tell you, it's fucking greasy, man. But whatever, boys. Playoff time's coming, so I don't really give a shit, you know?
Absolutely. We'll get into the Leafs talk here in a little bit, but before we do, just want to catch up. I know before we started recording, you mentioned you went to Brazil.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting to do a little more stand-up comedy now again. So just catch us up on what's going on in life. That trip to Brazil looked pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, I think the last time I interviewed you boys, I called it. I said that the Leafs were going to win and we're going to have an Edmonton fucking second round. We were talking about that. Then I had an epic meltdown of the century right there. And then, like we were just locked down for so long, man. So it was pretty shitty. And then, the season started and then we had like half capacity, the barn. So I was hawking beers at the games. And then as I was telling you boys off there, went to Brazil around Christmas time. At this point, full barns, like everything was like back to normal. They did have the mask rule, but it was still like fucking full barns. So I go to Brazil, and then within a matter of like 24, 48 hours, not only they start canceling games, they say no more fans at Scotiabank Arena. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, I guess I'll have a job when I go back. So yeah, I was just in Brazil, man. And to be honest, like I went there with my girl because she is Brazilian. I met her family. We went to Rio de Janeiro, and I fucking prayed for the boys under Christ the Redeemer. All I prayed for was one round. I didn't even ask for a Stanley Cup final or a win. Taking baby steps. And it was, man, honestly, it was a time like being Canadian. I haven't really left like the country very much. I mean, I haven't really gone to America that many times, but it's been a minute since I've been down there. So
we'll get that changed.
And yeah, man. So many friends I want to go visit down there. You boys still in Maryland, eh?
Yeah, not too far from DC, right in Baltimore. So yeah, we could take you out.
Yeah, right. Mackenzie though, he's out in where's Mac?
McCain. Yeah, Mac's up in Milwaukee. So
he's in Wisco.
Oh fuck yeah, he's up in Wisconsin. What a beauty. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, and then I came back, and then we had some shit going on, like the trucker convoys. I don't know if you know about that, but people were everyone was getting fed up, boys. Like I understand, like I'm not gonna make this political jump on anything, but it was like after a while I was like, holy fuck, we're getting locked down again. And then they just got back, they opened up everything, and I've been like crushing the stand-up, like doing a lot of sets, paid gigs. I got some festival showcases, and every once in a while I went on a West Coast tour, and I ended up seeing a couple of beauties that listen to my podcast, my social media, and they came out to the show, and then they just got me fucking rinsed, boys. Like I was like walking out there like full Frankenstein, you know?
Yeah, waddling around, eh?
Yeah. So it's been good, and then doing like wherever I can get stand up. I did a garage show in Port Perry like 2 weeks ago. I was booked for a private birthday. I just did like a fucking garage show in front of a bunch of beauty. So that was great too. And
shows like that, like the most fun, I feel like, because you can like just like rip the audience, like they could give it right back, like that kind of stuff. It's more like just hanging out, right?
Oh, 100%, bud. So, like, because when you get to the comedy clubs and stuff, you're out there and you're kind of worrying like, oh, how are they going to recite? Like, how's it going to go for me? But it really helps. Honestly, it helps when it's like doing kind of, how do I say this? Like, I don't want to say like white trash shit, but I'm very like
say that.
Trailer Park Boy stuff. So it's like
there you
a
go.
Garage show for me. Like when I walk into a garage, I'm like, I know I'm going to fucking light this room up tonight. I go to some comedy shows, I look at the audience, and you know, if it's like a different crowd, I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like sometimes I'll walk in like, I'm gonna fucking bomb tonight. Like I can feel it, boys, you know. And then sometimes I'm like, I can tell. So the garage shows for me, I don't think I've ever ate it at a garage show before.
There you go.
I think the last time we chatted, you were still getting the pod off the ground, or you were thinking about it, and now you're full-fledged doing it, and you got YouTube videos going up almost daily. So how's all that going?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. Well, boys, I'm sure you guys know with this, right? The key is consistency, and for anything too. And like I've had lots of comedians kind of like help and like mentor me. And they always say, boys, it ain't a fucking race, it's a marathon. So sometimes you're sitting there and you're making shit and you're like, oh fuck, why am I still doing this? And a lot of it was pride for me, boys. Like I was like, oh, like my Insta was like taking off, and I was like, I don't want to do these fucking YouTube videos because no one's gonna watch them and shit. I felt that way with my podcast too. And then it was like, no, like you have to actually go at it. So I tried to do, I was going straight like a fucking video every day, but sometimes I get busy. So it's like, I try to pump out at least like 3 or 4 a week. And then, you know, sometimes I'll pump a video and it'll get like 2,000 views. I'll be like, fuck yeah. And then sometimes I'll do one and it's like, I don't know, fucking maybe 6 people that probably watched it. And it's like, so that part kind of, you know, it for me, what I realized what I wanted to do was I was like, I thought it was about the blowing up shit, but boys, you don't want to just fucking blow up, because those are the people that they start following you when you're under something, and then they don't give a shit about you next week. Like, it's like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a following. I'm trying to bring people to my podcast. I'm trying to bring people to my YouTube channel. So as long as people are starting to like tune in and come to the other things, I'm happy. I mean, it definitely comes in waves though, boys. I got my fucking TikTok account zooped.
Oh, really? What'd you do?
I was saying greasy shit on there. It wasn't that bad.
There's
me like
teenagers gyrating on that app. How is what you're doing any worse than that?
Yeah, for real, right? Got fucking, I don't know, underage chicks shaking their teenage. There's some Uncle Terry out there watching and whatever. But like you boys know, like hockey, right? Like sometimes in the off season it gets a little slow. I'm also a comedian, so it's like I'm trying to expand my audience too. I have guys that are hockey fans. I have comedians too. So I was doing like reaction videos and shit like that, and it was stupid. Like there was one that wasn't even funny. There was a girl who fucking was shooting a little, like, I think it was like a cockroach inside her bathtub, and I just did a reaction being like, that bathroom is fucking greasy. I was like, I think the cockroach is the cleanest thing in there. Like, not even my funniest fucking video. Like, it was just a stupid reaction. And that video stayed, and then I got fucking banned off of it, right? So just be shit like that. And then, you know, I get it. Sometimes the chickie poos are sitting there dancing. I do things like, I don't talk about how they're gonna go crush nose beers inside the bathroom. Like, whatever. Like, I just say what. And then it's like I got zooped, and I don't remember where I was at. It was close to like 100K.
Wow.
And yeah, but I don't know if TikTok really translates, to be honest, because I've seen people have like hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok, and they have like fucking 300 on Insta. Like, I do care. Insta's the one where I have the most amount of contacts. Those are like my NHL buddies, the guys that I actually talk with. None of them are on TikTok, right? You boys, are you guys on TikTok?
We post our clips up there, but we don't post. I mean, you know how it is. You post shit to go viral. We're not really about that. We don't Yeah, we just post like our episode highlights and shit.
Yeah, right. So I was gonna say, boys, if you guys are on fucking TikTok, this interview's fucking dunzos. No, you know what, boys? I'm just kidding. I was pissed. Like, honestly, I'm like, anything.
I would be too.
It's not even the number. It was like, anything that gets me exposure, right? You boys know, it's like you need all the fucking channels working, and then it's like, and it was probably some chick with blue hair that didn't like my stuff, and at the end of the day, boys, it is what it is. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to start over. I tried a little bit, and I don't know if I got shadow banned because nothing was working. I was like, fuck this, boys, I'm out of here. So I'd rather work on my shit on YouTube. Honestly, Twitter fucks. I didn't even use it until like last year, but I was like, man, I love this shit. Like, a lot of the hockey guys are on there.
Hockey Twitter's hysterical. Like, in some of like the meme accounts, and just like what people start getting in on, like during games, like anytime Tom Wilson does anything, Twitter is just priceless.
Oh, boys, I want to ask you about fucking. I saw him the other night, so I'm at the game. I thought of you boys, and it was a super fan who turned into my buddy. He's a huge fan of my podcast, buys my merch. It was his party I did, like the garage party, right? So he said, Rick, can I bring you to a game? I was like, fucking right, you can. So I'm sitting right in the one hundo. So I'm like 4 or 5 rows from the ice. And Scotiabank Arena, boys, that's like, if you're doing that on your own, that's a fucking like an arm and a leg just to get out to the barn.
Yeah.
And I was literally probably about maybe 15 feet away from Wilson, Scrap, and Clifford, and he fucked them up, man. Wilson.
That was a good one.
Wilson got him. I wanted Simmer to go against Wilson, but
I thought that's what was going to happen. I was calling that for 2 periods, and it just didn't.
Yeah. But it was, no, man. So it was like, you guys know that with the social, I think, you know what the most important thing is, I started realizing, as long as what you're doing is like, you're actually looking forward to it. Like, honestly, boys, I was looking forward to fucking chatting with you guys tonight. I know Mac isn't out here tonight. I was a little upset about that, but I get excited to do my podcast. I get excited to do the Hockey Bucks, and I didn't really feel that with TikTok. But I was just kind of like shooting the shit. So if you boys love what you're doing, man, then I think that's probably the most fucking important thing.
Yeah, everything you're saying, you know, for anyone who's listening who like has a brand or some type of online presence, you know, you're exactly right. There's times you're like, ugh, this isn't going well, or like my numbers are stagnant. You just gotta keep going, right? That's the whole name of the game. And
but jealousy, it unfortunately it does kind of happen. Not necessarily jealousy, but I'm a comedian, so we look at other comedians. We're like, fuck, like this guy got like 100K, and I sit there sometimes like, boys, like, what the fuck? Like, how do I keep this going? And it's like, you know what, man? Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, just keep going, boys. Have fun, right?
Well said.
Yeah. No, and like, you know, like you said, you don't want to just blow up. You want people to follow who you are. And a lot of times I personally think, like, if I listen to something you say, I'm going to actually tell my friends, like, hey, this guy Rick Rowley's funny as shit. You got to go follow him. That's what you want, right? You don't necessarily just want to blow it all up.
No.
all at once.
And I think a lot of people want that because it's for them it's exciting, right? It's the whole like clout thing. Like but the thing is, you notice a lot of those people, if they do like a video, they blow up for I don't know. Let's say like in Canada, we got people doing like just Canadian shit, and then you'll blow up on a video. Like you take like a fucking like a skate, and all of a sudden you're fucking cutting a sub. I've seen like a million videos of that. No offense or anything to the guys do it, but that person's known as the guy who did that video. But if they're remembering your actual fucking name, they're like Rick Rowley. I noticed that more with me, where people are saying to me, they're saying Rick Rowley to me. So it's like, you know my actual name. And to me, that's more important, because you don't want to just be the guy who's known as doing that. Well, maybe you do want that, but if you want to build the following, it's important to have like kind of the intimacy. Like, I don't mean fucking like finger banging anybody. I mean like people knowing who you are and shit like that. They're buying your merch and all that stuff. And so I want like beauty, like super fans, like guys that are excited to listen to my shit. So yeah, boys, like, but I seen you guys have been getting some pretty fucking sick guests on there.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah,
you guys gave Fukali a little bump, eh?
Yeah,
that's our guy. He thinks we're nuts. He DM'd us last week because when you guys beat the Caps, we tweeted the only guy who can save the Capitals, and it was a picture of him. And he DM'd us. He didn't. I noticed how he didn't like favorite it or retweet it, but he DM'd us. He was like, "You guys are nuts."
No, man. He's also probably like, if he played with the team and shit like that, he probably didn't want to like.
Yeah, exactly.
So I noticed that because I get posted on the missing curfew, and a lot of people now, they'll be like, "Oh, like missing curfew," because they see me there with like, and I was like on their pod, which is really cool. Like Shane and Scotty, they've been really good, and they've been giving like airtime, and their producer Mark really loves me, so he posts me a lot.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, it's fucking sick, right? But like, I get rinsed like a lot on there too sometimes by like random people who don't know me and shit like that. And in fact, I did a Leafs video, which I know we're gonna talk about the boys in a bit, but like I chirped the Tarps because, to me, and I spoke about this in my podcast, releasing a hockey, like a Bieber jersey or whatever, this close to the playoffs, it is insane to me. Like, it's like, like we don't even, and I don't understand this Bieber kid. I don't know where the fuck he was when the team was dog shit. I never saw him at a game ever. This guy
wasn't born yet.
Yeah, for real. So he hops on board the train when it was just like what Drake did with the Raptors. And it's like, he was probably just sitting there, like, you know what? I should just like make a Leafs jersey. And then we just fucking just ate that shit all up. and I posted it on their thing, and I got rinsed by Leafs fans too. And some of them probably don't know that I'm a diehard Leafs fan. But you know what? I checked on there and I saw fucking National Leaguers liking what I said.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I saw Lucic and a few other guys.
Oh, yeah.
You everyone knows about the Leafs, okay? Like even the fucking players in the show, they know that was a, like, I'm sorry, but like a douchebag thing. I'll admit, like, the guy he's
cool, dude. He's the man. Yeah, it's what are you gonna do?
He is fucking cool. I just don't like this whole like relationship, like shit. Like, get off whatever the saying is. I don't know. It gets me furious talking about it. You're either with the team or don't do this half-ass shit where you hop in every once in a while so that people start talking about you. Fucking, if you want to be the next general manager, well then, like, work your way up. I don't know.
So I take it you don't like that him and Austin are always together, eh?
I just think it's the whole, for me, it's the whole Toronto thing. Like, you guys know that it's different playing in Toronto, right? Like, it's like, I think it's the media in the city that fucks his team up. And I think Bieber kind of adds to that because he's like this pop star. And like, man, like, to be honest, like if I was hanging out with hockey players, I'd get like residual kills by hanging out with them. But for it's the other way around. If fucking Austin hanging out with Bieber, like he's not competing with Justin Bieber. So it's like, I feel like these guys, like, I feel like he's like, I've said this on the Curfew podcast, I feel like he's a bad influence almost because these kids are trying to be like fucking like rock stars and shit like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I just don't like, I would say it's cool to hang out in the off season and shit like that, but don't show up to the game and go inside the locker room during the regular season. Maybe it's just me. Like, I don't know.
I think a lot of people like see it as a distraction. I mean, you can always make the argument there. I mean, you go back to like the Miami Hurricanes football days and the USC Trojans football days where they had like Snoop Dogg in the locker room and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I think you have like a good, like old school, but not like too much of like, hey, boomer type opinion there. I agree with you. I get it. It is a little bit of a
It's a fine line. And I know it's a special privilege to play in the show, and you got to enjoy it, right? Like I can only assume if I was ever a National League, I'd be like, man, this is the time of my life. I'm going to remember this shit, but it's like, come on, like, you know, like it's like these guys, and they leave the playoff rounds in the past and there's no marks on their face and shit like that. And it's like, I don't know. It just bothers me a little bit. I like to see, that's why I didn't like seeing Austin Matthews get suspended. I didn't like seeing his fucking lip. Like, remember when he got rammed into the goalpost? But it was like, I like seeing the boys with like a little bit of like some battle wounds. You know what I mean?
Do you follow? Shit. I'm gonna fuck this up. It's a hilarious Leafs Twitter page. I think it's called. Hang on. I'm gonna find it on Twitter.
No worries. No, there's lots I see on the internet anyway, so I probably would follow like some of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was Matthew's best press conference was after he hit the post, and then the reporter goes, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "Oh, I just wanted to take a bite out of the post, dude. Like, I don't know."
Yeah, great question. Great question.
What a moron.
But that's the problem too with these media guys too. It's like they want to know everything, like what Austin Matthews like fucking shit looks like in the morning. It's like,
I believe it.
Yeah. Like let the boys play. Like I would try to like pay whatever fine it is possible to like not have the media in the fucking room as much and shit like that. But we just like, I don't know, maybe we were locked down too, but these guys have, all they do is they always just talk about like fucking Paul Martin or Mitch's dad and stuff like that. And it's like, boys, like settle down a little bit, eh? Like give your balls a tug.
So the Twitter page is called the handle is the Oak Leafs, but the name that they have is Active Stick. You'll see it right there.
I don't know if I've seen that one. I'll check it out.
Fucking hilarious. But the reason I bring this up is relating back to what you said about Austin, with the cross check and the sussy, right? Like this guy, the Oak Leafs, last year in the playoffs when you guys played the Habs and Austin got jerked around on the horse collar, he was like smiling, right? This guy and all of his followers were filleting Austin for that. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you get back up, you punch him in the face. Like, don't just laugh. Now you see it the other way, and Austin's starting to come back, throw some cross checks. Obviously, you don't want the sussy, but I say all this to kind of lead into the Leafs discussion. It feels a little different. I hate in a good way. I'm not trying to tickle your balls, but it feels different.
No, I know. And I worry about that too, man. I just finished my own pod, and they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. 10-1-1. So Florida's won 10 in a row. Yep. The Avalanche 9 in a row. The Leafs 10-1-1. So, and the Blues, they're fucking hotter than a witch's tit. But the thing is, boys, is that what I like about this year's team more is that you're seeing the star players take more accountability and more pushback with these situations. The beginning of the year looked absolutely atrocious. It was like we had the ghost of Game 7 like haunting us for like the first and then Marner's like he's been putting almost like a 2-point a game performance. Austin's like literally. Like I've even said this before. I don't even know if he looks at this. He's like, this is my team. Like I don't know like John anymore. Like what the discussion is there, but I don't think he looks at John as like a leader. He's like, motherfucker, this is my team. And you want, you don't want an animosity among the players, but you want guys to take accountability. So I see that a little more. I still wish though that they had like a little more size up front. Like. Problem is that a lot of their like tough guys that do stand up to them, they're all like fringe NHLers now. Like it's like I love Wayne Simmons, but like the argument could be made like he might not, like he shouldn't be playing anymore. Like on some teams. Nick Ritchie, it didn't work out because the guy's like fucking way too slow. But I would have loved to like at a cheaper price have a guy like him in our top 6, like guys that can mix it up. So I can see why people would say that point for sure. But I think Leafs fans all know that like nothing means anything until they actually fucking win around here.
Yeah.
So, and I said this, like I've said this too, man. As much as we have a mental fuck, I feel like last year there was probably a lot of pressure because it was so much like we should win this fucking division because of how good we are. Now, where I see this one is like we might have to play Tampa Bay. It's probably going to have to be the Lightning that we play in the first round. So you don't think the guys on the other end are looking a little bit like, do we want to be the team that loses to the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yes, and ruin the three-peat, right? I mean,
yeah.
And they've got the goalie who, shuts out every closing game in the series, right? I agree with you. I think the pressure would be on the Bolts in that situation.
Yeah, because we've actually played really well against playoff teams this year. For some odd reason, we've dropped 3 to the Sabres and shit like that. The Habs got our number this year. So we do okay against, compete really well against Lightning. I would still be afraid to play the Panthers though. Like, I don't know, man. They're like scoring at 4.
There's no easy goals. Team in the East. I mean, they're all, honestly, the easy team is the Caps.
Well, and I want to say that too, but like, you know what? Like, you can't also like fucking rule out the Caps too either because of like the leadership, like Ovi and shit like that. Although like they did fuck all at the trade deadline, eh? They didn't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't really do much. I mean, they couldn't really do much. They've been up against the cap for like 3 years now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think it's wide open. You could see it. You could see some surprises, and I don't want to say the Caps but I would say that that's the team that sticks out as a team that's like they're gonna have a hard time beating like any of those teams. But yeah, I don't know. I just what I like about it is I love how much initiative our star players have taken, and they're not really taking nights off like it was happening last year, and I do like that. I also worry about the goaltending too.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to Jack. But again, he got the whole like treatment when he first came. He was like our savior and stuff like that. And then everyone realized, well, when you're starting Tendy in Toronto, it's very, very difficult to have. Like, I think if you're a Tendy with like a 9-10 save percentage and like a 2.7 goals against average, in Toronto, you deserve to be up for the Vezina. Like,
it's true though, eh?
Like, look at Freddie Anderson. Like, his numbers weren't great last year. Like, he was, I think he was just barely a 900 save percentage. And then look what happened when he went to a team with an actual fucking decor, like in Carolina, right? So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's the pressure there. And again, anything could happen. What I will say is that I think the pressure will be on the Lightning, and I think less pressure on the Leafs because everyone knows how stacked the East is.
Would you say it's fair to say Austin is MVP? And I'm assuming the answer is yes, so I'll take it one further. Should he be the unanimous MVP?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think 100% that it is Austin this year. So. And anonymously, fuck, I'm having stroke time on that word.
Unanimously, almost forgetting there.
Okay.
Take a swing.
But, yeah, I took a swing. It depends. It depends how you answer that, because I don't know if I like the way the Hart goes anyways. Like, I almost think it should be every year, maybe a forward, a defenseman, and a goalie, and then maybe 4 finalists, and then you could put like a fucking wild card, like wherever.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, yeah, I just think my only reason for that is because I think that, especially with the way that, like, man, scoring's up this year. It's like the 80s almost. Like, with with like how many 100-point guys do we got? So you can't. It's hard to say. Right. But if you take a defenseman there and be like, okay, well, how would the Preds have been without Roman Josi or like Shesterkin in New York? So, but I don't like the idea of just giving it to like McJesus or Draisaitl all the time, because you have to see how, like, the team doesn't really, like, they have the same problem as the Leafs, right? So I guess the long-winded answers. I don't know if it's an anonymous,
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Strike two, Rick. Come on.
Strike two. Fuck, boys. Baseball season started, eh?
I'm fucking
There you
with
go.
But I would say that he for sure, in my opinion, deserves it. But I don't think it's a clear race because he just is too much talent now. You know, what do you think?
I think like with I think you make a great point, and we actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago on our show. You know, the difference between most valuable and best player.
Yeah,
You know, those aren't the same thing all the time. And then like you
Yeah.
make a great point when you're talking about Connor and Leon. It's like you see this trend where whoever wins the Art Ross or Rocket Richard tends to end up with the Hart Trophy just by default because it's a goal scoring
Yeah.
league. So I
Yeah.
think something in there could be used to differentiate between the two.
and we like goals, right? So it's like everyone's gonna be sitting there and being like, but I mean, the truth is, this guy's scoring at. I mean, he hasn't scored in I think like 3 games now. He was injured last night, so he might have dipped off, but he's scoring at a fucking OV rate at 60 when he had 65 tucks. And in fact, if he didn't get that sussy against Darlene, which
Yep.
I was a little salty about, it was a dangerous hit, but still, like it's like, anyways. He could have been up towards 70 tucks, and we love this. Like everyone wants to see goals, and you know that would have been unreal. So in a situation like that, if you're doing something that like outstanding, like when I see Hart, I see people doing shit that hasn't been done in like fucking 15 years. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Like Connor was like average almost 2 points a game last year, and that's insane. And now
Sick.
Austin
Just
this year.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like a goal a game. So I think that would be probably the separating point, but it's nothing set in stone. And I think they should like consider the playoffs too, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. All right. I'm going to put you on the hot seat real quick.
Okay.
we're going to play a little game. If the playoffs started today, I'm going to give you the matchup and you're going to say the team that wins. You don't need to explain yourself. You just give the team and we'll
Okay.
rock and roll. If it started today, we got first up Florida, Washington.
Florida. Sorry, boys.
Easy one. Next.
Carolina, Boston.
Carolina.
Pittsburgh, New York.
Pitt.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Toronto, Tampa.
Let's go, boys.
There you go.
What do you got for, well, I'm not even going to ask you about Colorado because I think that's a done deal. Calgary, Dallas.
Calgary.
Oilers, Los Angeles.
Oilers.
And this is going to happen. And I think it's going to be the best series in the entire NHL. We're going to have Mini versus St. Louis.
Oh,
That's a bloodbath.
First round of death right there, eh?
Yeah,
Big time.
that is like a war. I'm so excited to see that.
I want to hear your boys' opinion about that one too, but I'm going to say just because St. Louis have been one of the fucking spooky teams that you don't want to play. They've won 9 in a row. They're hot right now. I'm going to go with the Blues on that one.
That's a really good goalie matchup too. You've got like this unproven kid in Husso, who we've seen like
Yeah.
a ton of great stuff out of, versus Flower, who's done it however many thousand times now. So
Yeah.
that one's going 7, and then it's a coin flip for me.
I think
A
I'm
coin
gonna
flip.
I think I'm gonna lean Mini just because I feel like
Yeah.
they've got Kaprizov, and I don't think St. Louis has someone that can match that amount of star. I like the game breaker thing, right? Like you see who's gonna change the series, right? I think Kaprizov's that guy.
Mini's
Yeah,
nasty
yeah,
too. Like down the middle there, just gritty.
Yeah, but you know what though? I was actually looking at the Blues on earlier today because I was chatting about them, and I was like, you know what's insane about this team, eh? They already got 8 guys with 50 points, and if I think it's Sod and Falk, if they can go on a fucking heater right here, they can have 10 guys with 50 points. Like the amount of depth.
That's insane.
Wow.
It is just, I know I never seen anything like that. Like I think
Yeah.
the most I'd seen was like 8 maybe.
If
But
that.
But then Colorado too, they got like 5 guys a point a game. And it's like, it's absolutely, I think the playoffs this year are going to be much better than the playoffs were last year. Especially because you had a couple of those fucking blender divisions where it was like, they were just throwing shit. Like what was that? That South division that had like Tampa and Dallas and shit. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
this is going to be the best quality of hockey. And honestly, I'll be probably sad once the first round's over because there's going to be some heavy hitters, especially in the East. And then also too, the amount of hockey you get too, because once you go to the Final Four, it's like, every night, like sometimes there's nights off and you're like, fuck, buds.
Yeah.
First round is the best. It's like in America, like that's March Madness for us hockey fans. Like that's just the end all be all, the best 2 weeks of the year. Easy.
Yeah. Like, and the other thing I'll say too about this year's playoffs is I think last year there was a lot of surprises, and I don't know really why that happened. But what I will say is that if you look at, I mean, that fucking Batman guy wants the salary cap, right? And it's like, which pisses me off because if we didn't have a salary cap, man, we could have fucking bought a Stanley Cup probably by now. using Bieber's fucking money.
You're gonna have to change those unis to have some pinstripes on them, and then we could put the Yankees logo right there. Too.
Yeah, exactly, right. So you have this situation, but the cap doesn't really look like it's doing fuck all because you got the 8 teams in the East, and after that, like the Islanders, like they're way behind the
they're
Caps,
out now, right? Yeah, they're out officially.
Yeah. Last night they got, and then even in the West, I mean, mind you, you got a couple of those fringe teams like Dallas and LA, but it's like most of the good teams, like they're great this year, and then there's not really a middle of a pack this year. I don't find it's more like
it's top heavy.
Yeah, it's very top heavy, and I think that's exciting too. Probably, even though I'm saying the first round is going to be the most exciting because the amount of games, but I think like round 2, you'll see like the sunshine fuck fest between Florida and like Tampa. Like who knows if they get through the boys, right? Yeah. So it's like you'll see really good quality hockey, but I don't think that there's going to be as many upsets this year just because of how well the top heavy teams are, in my opinion, at least.
So gotta ask, we need a cup champ prediction. And after that, I want you to give a dark horse. Who's your dark horse in the playoffs?
Okay. So for the cup, fuck, I think it's going to be a repeat of 96 with Colorado and Florida.
Ooh.
I would love, and I think that would be the best possible playoff series. And I think Colorado finally gets over the hump, even though Florida maybe is better, like a little more depth on paper, because these guys went all in. Like they got a second round pick next year, and then that's it for like the next 3 drafts. But I still think that Colorado, like I think McKinnon, you're talking about game changers, right? Like I think when you're looking at the best players in the league, I think he's ahead of Huberdeau, so he has the ability to change that series. Dark horse, fuck, Let me think. I'm going to say, you know what? Even though I didn't even predict for them to win a round, I think maybe the Rangers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hates me to say it.
Yeah, like there's something about them. Like I they're not like with Florida or like, Colorado, but you get a hot goalie like Shesterkin, you get like what they have this year too is they have like a lot of guys having career years like Kreider and shit like that.
Yeah.
So you don't know. I got them as a dark horse. I'd love to hear your boys' picks too, though.
I don't know why. I've got a weird feeling about the Flames this year.
You know what's funny? Point. I was just about to say, I think the Flames are frauds. I don't know why. I'm not buying in. I'm not buying it. I feel like there's that one, I feel like there's a first round exit for one of the top seeds coming, and I feel like it's going to end up being them. I don't know. I don't really have an explanation. It's just
I watched a couple of their games this past week, and when Markstrom's on and when Mangiapane is on, that team is really, really hard to beat, and they just score they score nice goals. Don't get me wrong. Gaudreau's having a great year. Kachuk's having a decent year, but the rest of those guys just bang in junk all night long. And it's just old school playoff style hockey that I think you could see them getting to a period in.
Who's your dark horse, Nick?
It's very Daryl Sutter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, who'd you have as the dark horse?
Who's your dark horse, Nick?
If I had to pick one outside of the Flames, I don't know, maybe Minnie. I could see them waking up and going deep.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for my cup prediction, I was on Carolina all year, but I'm not sold as of late, and they just said Freddie's hurt, right? So he's going to be out for a week to week. Same with Jari and the Pens. F me.
Fuck.
I don't know. Let's see. I could see St. Louis getting hot, but if you made me really predict who's probably going to win the cup, I would say it's Florida's to lose, in my opinion. Dark horse. I think nobody's talking about Boston. Nobody's talking about Boston. And you know how Boston is. Trust me, I know how you know Boston is.
Yeah. Boys, I hate to say it, but they're fucking built for playoff hockey.
They are. They really are. They're scary.
To be honest, like I actually would not mind playing them this year, because at this point I'm just like, fuck, why not? Maybe 4 times the charm. But Boston, they got the good old fucking, the bangers there too and stuff. It's good hockey for the Bruins. So yeah, who knows, man? That's a good dark horse.
Last thing I want to ask you before we wrap up here. I know you guys just got the score bet in Ontario for sports betting. So are you finally ready to step up to the table?
Yeah. You know what, man? I think I'm going to start. I've had some offers, and one thing kind of fell through where I wanted to do more. Problem I have is I don't know enough about it.
We can teach you.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to collab with you boys a little bit, because I went out to I was the type of guy who'd go to the casino and then like drop like fucking rent and then some, and then get one of my photos taken, so they fucking banned me from the old casino. So I tried staying away from it for a little bit, and I'm super busy, right? Because I'm always like hawking beers and shit like that, or doing comedy. But it's something now that I've seen so many people like join it, where I'm just like, man, like I think I have to kind of just like,
you gotta start.
Peer pressure, right, boys?
Yeah, they're making it so mainstream. I mean, the way that they're basically bringing it into the buildings now, it's insane.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do a content piece on that, hit us up. We're more than happy to come on.
Are you guys with sports bet?
Yeah, well, we sports bet a lot. I mean, that's kind of the foundation of the pod. We obviously do the hockey stuff in the interviews, but I'd say half of the podcast is related to hockey betting. So
yeah,
I know I think that's how you boys initially like start. Like you were doing the interviews too, but I remember seeing you guys on Twitter, and you guys had like fucking everything going there. I know it's kind of crazy, eh? So, big hockey guy here, and I don't even fucking bet on sports, but
it's because you're smarter than we are.
Yeah. Probably.
How's it going for you boys though? Would you say?
I still have a roof over my head.
Yeah, there you go.
We've had a pretty good year. We actually, I guess I'll give a free plug right here, but we actually got sponsored by a company called Sharp Rank, and they automatically track your bets on this app. So we signed with them in November 1st of 2021, and I think year to date, all of us are positive. And we've all had pretty decent years so far. Scoring's been up, so that's helped a lot.
Yeah, I think we're all like all 3 of us are in the top 10 of that leaderboard for the NHL on that app. So
that's sick.
Yeah.
I heard. I know the curfew guys do it, right? And people do like in-game like live betting. And shit like
Mac loves that shit. Yeah.
That's where Twitter comes to life.
Yeah. For real. Oh fuck. Is Mac okay?
Mac's fine. He's just working. He couldn't get off.
He's hawking beers too right now.
Yeah, probably.
What a beauty, man.
Do you so speaking of hawking beers, do you find ways to like test out your act like on the crowd while you're hawking beers?
Kind of a little bit, man. It's weird because like during the game, and I think I might have explained this to you already, boys, but you can't sell during the play, right? So I'm mostly just sitting there like fucking scouting more than anything. Somebody the other night, like I don't know who he was. He took a photo of me and he posted it or he like put it on online, right? And it's me just sitting there, like just you can see it because my fucking ass crack, boys. And I got like my hand on my beer bag. I'm not even like paying attention to my job, and I'm just watching the game. But but yeah, awesome. Like I see people more now kind of recognize me. They want to get like photos and stuff, and I haven't brought like my business cards with me or anything like that, but when I do like street interviews, which I started doing like earlier in the year, and I'm going to be bringing back for the playoffs, I'll like hand out like business cards and stuff. So it's a good way to like get people to be like, yo, like fucking sauce to follow, like
Yeah.
I'm a Leafs fan, you're a Leafs fan. Like, let's get going, eh? But yeah, like anything kind of helps with me too, right? Like as long as I'm out there, I'm always being like social. I love talking to like the fans and shit like that. So that probably like helps me with like, just like comedy and shit like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, out of the three of us, I am definitely the Leafs supporter, and the other two are a little bit of Leafs haters. So I'm with you. I'm rooting for you.
They did us rough the other night. Don't hate on me too much.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, eh?
I really do think it's just even a series win, I think would be huge for you guys.
I think it'd be huge for like the game too. I mean, like everyone's like a competitive Toronto team does make the NHL more interesting.
Definitely.
Because they are the most hated team, and like they could end up surprising them. And boys, let's not kid yourself. I would actually fucking get like my following would just go right out of the roof if we went on a run, because I would actually like, because to be honest, man, like most of my content pieces that get like most of the views are me like fucking shit on the boys, and I shit on them probably more than any of you boys. But it's like it would help me out, it would help the fucking city out, and I think it would just make it more interesting, because the truth is we are the most hated team. We're also like probably the most well-traveled team too. Like if you look
Definitely.
I don't know if you watched the fucking Sens game the other night, but it's in
It was a Leafs game.
It was a Leafs game.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And they went out to fucking butt-fuck Canada to go watch the Leafs, and that's the type of dedication that we have. I don't know what it's like when the Leafs play the Capitals, because
Packed.
Really,
Yeah, because like we've got the embassies and stuff in DC, so they just spread tickets around like crazy, and then everyone comes.
Fuck, eh? That must make you hate us even more. So
no, I mean the fans are always great. So
you guys
well,
are
some of
pretty
us,
nice.
yeah.
But
yeah. So the beauties are the nice
There
ones.
you go.
Right?
well,
Yeah, fucking
amen.
right.
Well, man, we that's all we got on our end, or at least my end. Nick, you got anything else for our boy?
No, I think I'm all good. It was great to catch up, buddy. We'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah, boys, like do not be strangers, man. Like fucking message me, and one of the times I'll have to get I'm doing more like guests on my pod now. I mostly just kind of like run it myself. And I guess you boys, like I've seen that you guys just do it together a lot too, but sometime we'll do a nice little fucking switcheroo. I'll bring the empty betters on my pod, boys.
For sure. Just let us know.
If the Leafs win a series, we're bringing you right on to get a live shotgun reaction.
Oh, so, there you go.
Boys, it'll be nuts. I'll give you guys a nice content piece of the boys win.
There you go.
All right, Rick. Well, we appreciate it, man.
Fuck yeah, boys.
And we want to thank Rick for hopping on with us to chat some Leafs and some hockey. Always a good time to catch up with him. Just absolute hilarity for about an hour. So always good to see how he's doing. I think it's time to throw it around the league here real quick, boys. Let's talk about some injuries. Harry, what's going on with Tristan Jarry?
Well, I believe it was in the Islanders game that we won at home last Thursday. He got ran into in, I think, the second period, stayed in the game, but afterwards, obviously, we learned that he now has a broken bone in his foot. So he didn't break his foot, but there's a broken bone in his foot. Don't ask me how that works. Yeah, he's out week to week. There's rumors that he is going to miss a couple games at the start of round one. So right now it's Casey DeSmith's net. They just brought up Louis Domingue, who, by the way, I'll give him credit, has been putting up some really solid numbers in the AHL. So I don't know. I mean, DeSmith has played well recently, but this is obviously not the news you want to hear.
I feel like I trust Domingue more than I trust DeSmith.
I was going to say, like, if things go south in game one, is Sullivan going to go to Domingue for game two?
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility. I mean, to Casey's credit, I think he's 5-2 in his last 7 starts. So he's been playing okay, but it's not the guy that you want. We just lost 2-1 to Boston in our last game. And the first 2 goals happened in the first 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. And he stood on his head the rest of the game, but we just couldn't find the back of the net.
The other rough part about this is, like, let's pretend for a second that Jarry is ready, not 100%, but ready to go for game one. And they're like, okay, we're going to make it work. We're going to start Jari. That's going to be his first game in like 3 weeks or something like that. And that's not what you want. You don't want to start a goalie who hasn't played in 3 weeks for game one of the postseason, especially a guy who last postseason absolutely had the jitters. And
yes, thank you, Mac, for reminding me of all my bad memories, especially I'll add this against the Florida Panthers. Most likely, I'm gonna go out and say it. I mean,
oh God, man,
yeah, it's
I'm nervous for you, dude.
The Last Dance is slowly becoming like the last fucking blackout sesh. Like it's just like throw it all away.
I wish there was some fucking way the Caps could get the Pens in the first round, but there's just no way.
We are the team you want to play right now. We're
absolutely.
just
even if that didn't happen, we just own you guys this year. So
okay, fuck y'all. But we're gonna look like Nick walking out of Blueback Kitchen on Saturday, stumbling into the playoffs. It's gonna
absolutely.
Be
I'm gonna need a golf cart to get out of there. I don't know which one of you two is driving.
Wheelbarrow.
There we go. No one has to drive.
Yeah. Speaking of goalies who are injured, Freddie Anderson for the Canes is also out week to week with a lower body injury. Not the news you want. He's been playing so well this year.
I actually didn't hear that until right now. Wow.
Yeah, he's been playing real well this year. One of the probably going to be a Vezina candidate if I had to guess. And
who backs them up?
Ranta,
Antti Ranta.
Right?
Oh, that's right. I was shitting on him yesterday, and then he beat
so,
the Oats.
Arguably one of, if not the better 1-2 punches for goaltender depth in the NHL, but definitely.
I mean, experience-wise, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys caught this, but the Canes played the Avs over the weekend, and Cale Makar absolutely wrecked Jordan Stahl, who is a big dude. He's like 6'5", 220. And Jordan Stahl is out. We don't know how long. We don't know what the injury is, but
I'll tell you what, man, that Colorado team, after watching that game last night against the Caps, they are physical. They are some sons of bitches to play against. They're big, they're fast, and they will hit the fuck out of you, and they will finish their checks. And that's a regular season game. You better believe they're going to finish twice as many as their checks in the postseason.
Plus Nate Mack just being a complete psycho out there. Like, you know,
he's
not going to stop come the playoffs.
Irritable too. Like we talked about how Malkin is like irritable, but he's irritable in the way that he's going to like take a penalty against you if you like piss him off. Nate Mack is like, oh, if you piss him off, he's going to score a hat trick against you. And
like that period too.
And like rock somebody on your team, but clean as day. Like,
yeah.
And speaking of physicality on the Avs, they don't even have Kadri in the lineup right now, I don't think.
It's the best thing for him because he can't miss 8 games come the postseason.
I guess I'm just bringing that up. I mean, here's a guy who is halfway through the season. We were like, is he going to be the MVP of the league? Right. He was like second in scoring. He's been out recently with injuries, but they're loaded. Roster moves. Vegas brought back Mark Stone. We already talked about Vegas enough. Just figured we'd throw that out there. Let's get to the gambling segment. But before we do, I think Mac has a word from our sponsor, SharpBrink.
Yeah, actually, before we do that, I was walking down the street the other day and it just popped into my head and I couldn't not say it. So before I forget, I just wanted to remind you that this season, all of our picks are powered by SharpRank. SharpRank created the first ever cross-sport rating system, ranking bettors from any sport on one leaderboard that anyone can dominate, even you. SharpRank is backed by some of the biggest names in the sports gambling world, such as BetMGM, Betway, and Sports Illustrated. Download the free app for iPhone and Android today. Just wanted to make sure that I reminded you guys of that in case you forgot.
Thank you so much.
Very Appreciate nicely done.
All right, let's get to the who's hot and who's not. So the who's hot, the team that will be playing and probably defeating my Pittsburgh Penguins in round 1. The Florida Panthers. They are the hottest team in the NHL right now. They have won 10 straight games. They have scored I apologize. The number is 62. They've scored 62 goals in their last 10 games. As comparison, the Sharks have only scored 62 goals in their last 22 games, which is absolutely wild to me. They have 4.19 goals per game this season, which is the highest in the NHL, as you could probably guess. There's no other team that has over 4 goals per game so far this year. And they have beat an opponent by 5 or more goals 8 different times this season, which is the most in the NHL. They just whipped the Red Wings over the weekend. And I bet the Wings that game, of course. The Panthers, like, what what's going on? This is like, not only are they hot, they're hot at the right time. They have the best team in the league. They got the best trade deadline acquisition. I mean, all cylinders are full blast.
That's cool and all.
I knew it. I knew it was coming, and I'm gonna say the same thing.
But it ain't playoff hockey. That's the problem. It
Agreed.
I'm not that impressed because I just don't think that that's a way to win a Stanley Cup. It's cool. It's impressive. But come game one, can they outscore their problems in a best of 7 series? Depends who they play for sure. If they end up facing, I don't think it could happen in round one, but if they somehow face the Rangers at some point with like Shesterkin, I'm not sure they can outscore their problems in that kind of a series. Even if they face the Caps, I've been saying all along, that's another super offensive minded team, but way more physical than they are. Arguably maybe stronger on defense, depending on who you ask. But either way, I think that it depends who they match up against. I don't know. High scoring games like that just don't translate that well to the Stanley Cup playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had a similar train of thought. I think, there's a lot of comparisons that you can make to like 2008 to 2011 Washington Capitals teams here. You have a ton of firepower. You have a young and upcoming defense core. You have a goaltender who at times looks great, can be shaky at some times, but you have made your name this year by outscoring everyone by a lot. I saw some stat the other day. It was like, they haven't been shut out this season as a team, by the way. I think they've only scored 1 goal in a game once or something like that. Most of their games are in the 4 to 6 goal range, which is nuts to think about.
I did see this stat. Yeah.
So I have some of the same questions as you, Mac. You just don't know what you're going to get. And you're right. It's not the typical textbook playoff hockey that we're used to seeing, but who knows?
Now, Bobrovsky has experience and he has a high ceiling. He could certainly show up and shut out the first 2 games and shut me the fuck up and they win in 5 games or something like that. But I do feel like he's a little bit of a question mark. Maybe it's just because I remember him playing in the playoffs with CBJ mostly. And obviously he didn't have as much offensive firepower in front of him then. But I don't know. I'm definitely interested to see how Bob will play in the playoffs and whether or not we'll see Spencer Knight at any point.
And I'd like to correct myself. I don't know why I said this. I thought I had it wrong. They have 53 goals scored in the last 10 games, not 62. I had it on the notes and then I thought I did it wrong and I just checked Sportsnet stats. If you're ever wondering for cool stats, that's where you got to go. Moving on, the St. Louis Blues, the second hottest team in the NHL. They are 11-0-1 in their last 12 games. They're the ones who have scored 62 goals in that 12-game span. That's 5.2 goals per game over their last 12, which is pretty insane to think about. Here's a really cool stat, actually. They have scored 4 or more goals in 12 straight games. That is the longest streak of a team scoring 4 or more goals in a game since the 1992 and 1993 Pittsburgh Penguins, where they scored 4 or more goals in 15 straight games.
Not a team you would expect it to come from, too, considering how they basically won a Stanley Cup by winning games 2-1.
Yeah, and I can't. So the Rick interview we did yesterday, we're recording this episode the day after. I believe Rick was telling us yesterday that the Blues have like 6, 7, or 8 guys that have above 50 points. It's
they
like
do.
They've got depth out the ass.
They almost have like 10 guys with 50 points. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone was wondering, tonight against it'll be yesterday when you're listening, but against the Boston Bruins, for frame of reference, Blues team total over 3.5 is plus 105.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Bees are pretty stingy defensively, but yeah, that's a juicy price. Given
they also have Swayman in net tonight, though, I think, which.
So I also think it's worth noting, speaking of goaltenders, that Jordan Binnington has won his last 3 games and he's only allowed 6 goals in that 3-game span. Obviously, Husso's still kind of the man right now, but we've been questioning Jordan all year long. I think he's starting to build a little bit of momentum. Here's the best part of all of this, and I don't care what anyone says, and I said this in the Rick interview. The first round of the playoffs, the best matchup, the best series is 1,000% going to be Minnesota versus St. Louis.
Absolutely.
Those two teams have played each other twice in the last 10 days. Both games went to overtime. Blues won both.
It's also that, I mean, that to me has like overtime in 5 of the 7 games
Or just 7.
written all over it. Like, it's just going to be one of those series where every single game is decided by a goal. Most of them go to OT. The biggest shame about that is one of those 2 teams is going to be eliminated after round 1. They're both very good hockey teams. I would like to see Minnesota win that series, but
Same.
Yeah, I think just given the blue, like I love the Blues, I always have, but given they got the cup in 19, I do think it's probably worth a chance for Minnie to get it done. Plus with Flower, I mean, obviously.
At what point, if you're Berube, do you start Husso and then you look at Bennington and go, that's another tough one. I mean, because if Bennington's playing really well, he got it done for you once. Husso's really young, doesn't have a ton of experience with this. I don't know.
To me, if I'm Berube, there's nothing that Bennington could do right now to change how good of a year Husso has had.
It would have to be Husso just turning
he gets
into a
game
sieve.
1 for sure, and you go from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's Husso's crease to lose. I would agree with that. The next top team, the Washington Capitals, they have won 7 of their last 10. This team's kind of all over the place. Like, I know they're playing really well, but that game against Toronto was just like, what the fuck? And then they go out and beat the Avalanche. It's like, I don't really understand.
This is classic recency bias overreaction. It's good what they've done lately, but people on Twitter are taking this way out of control.
It's so weird how like Cap's Twitter one night will be like, oh my God, we're so good. We just beat the Colorado Avalanche. That was the best game we've played all year. We're going places. And then like you compare that to how it was after the Toronto game. And it's like, remind me why we didn't get a goalie at the deadline. This is so stupid. We suck. Like blah, blah, blah.
Wait, was Vivi the starter for against Colorado or no?
No, actually.
Sammy.
Oddly enough, it was Sammy.
So Sammy played Toronto and sucked.
And
got pulled.
Yeah.
VV went in the Toronto game. He sucked in that game as well. They both stunk it up against Toronto. Then they gave VV the crease against Montreal, and he played okay. There was like one soft goal, but I mean,
it should have been like an 8-2 game. Instead, it was like an 8-4 game.
And then I don't know. I expected VV to go again against
Sammy went last night.
Colorado, and it was Sammy. And I got to say, he played very well last night, in my opinion. It probably should have been a 3-1 game. I still have questions about that second goal. We challenged it for goalie interference. That's a whole thing, but whatever.
For the sake of time, let's dial it down to one question. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, are you starting?
Oh, fuck. Kind of depends who we play.
Come on. Don't give me that.
How many roster moves am I allowed to make?
I'll tell you this. If it's a Metro team, I'm starting Sammy. I might be starting Sammy either way as of right now. But if it's a Metro team, I'm definitely starting Sammy. He has incredible numbers against the Metro, believe it or not.
I would say it's almost a 75% chance that one of them gets game 1 and the other one gets game 2.
Wow.
Possible. Even if we win the first one, you think they go to the other guy for game 2?
I think it just depends on how that first game goes. If that's like a 5-6, just back and forth, whoever scores last kind of thing.
I will say the last thing I'll say about it, Laviolette he seems to not really care as much whether we get the win or not. It seems like he's specifically looking at like, did this guy make the saves he was supposed to make and then some?
Yeah. I mean, and they do, and this is the last thing I'll say about this for the sake of time. They do kind of like, they're polar opposites in terms of goaltending style. Vanacek is very position oriented. I would say the thing you look out for him is maybe rebound control. And then with Sammy, it's the polar opposite. Yeah, true. But, Sammy's out of position 98% of the time, but he's sprawling all over the place and somehow makes the stop.
Oh, he's bigger too. So
very true.
The next hot team, the Canucks. Max rocking a great Heritage Classic hat over there, but they have won 6 in a row. 5 of those 6 wins were by more than 2 goals. Little Canucks -1.5 tip there for you. They've outscored their opponents 32-11 during that span. 4 of the 6 wins were by at least 4 goals, and they have points in 11 of their last 13. I think Bruce has the boys buzzing.
All of a sudden, that team, like, they won't go away. They want to make the playoffs really badly, and it's definitely interesting what they're doing. I'm also rocking the hat tonight because I have a little bit of money on the Canucks tonight. I like how they're playing, and I feel confident about that.
I like that pick a lot, by the way. Might tell you on that. Nick, any comments on the Canucks or move on to the who's not?
No, I mean, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I said I really want them to make the playoffs, and you both laughed at me like I was an asshole. So
I'll tell you what, out of all those teams that are in the hunt there, they're probably the team that I would want to root for the most.
most
Maybe-
fun hockey team out of that
maybe
group.
besides Nashville, that they're close second, maybe.
True.
But yeah, Vegas, go fuck yourself. Dallas, I don't really care.
Dallas is so boring.
I just
mean,
want to
give
see
me
what
someone else.
Vancouver does if they win a cup. I've seen what they
Oh
do
my
when they
God.
lose, but I want to see what they do when they win.
Jeez.
We'll rush through the who's not real quick. The Vegas Golden Knights, we talked about them earlier in the show. They've dropped 4 of their last 6, including 2 losses to Vancouver, who is right behind them. And then the
And 2
Philadelphia
lawsuits.
and then the Philadelphia Flyers have lost 2 in a row by a combined score of 27-11. They have 2 lawsuits, as Nick just mentioned. They've lost 5 in a row, I'm sorry, by a combined score of 27-11. They have only won 2 of their last 12. And that, just to reiterate, 2 lawsuits.
Can I
So-
just point out how bad this team was at being bad this year? Like, you couldn't have done this earlier and gotten the first overall pick. Like, really? Like, you
Dude,
were the
they
worst
blow.
hockey team all year. Like, at least
They-
Buffalo and like Arizona beat Colorado twice.
Yeah.
Buffalo beat Toronto twice in the last 10 days. Like,
Dude, you're right. It's like, it's so brutal. It's so bad.
like no wonder they're owned by Comcast. My cable box doesn't work half the fucking time anyway.
Oh
so
my God.
sell the team.
Wow.
Oh my God. Wow, that was phenomenal, right?
Keith Jones might have something to say about all this.
Yeah. I don't want to hear shit from Keith Jones because I've never heard a former Caps player who is so hard on the Caps as he is on
Yeah.
national broadcast. He hates them.
You're right about that.
And if you're ever in for a good laugh with the Flyers, you gotta follow Dr. Evil Gritty on Twitter. Phenomenal follow. Dude.
Very
He's
good follow.
fucking great. He's so funny. All right, real quick, hot players in the league. Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues. He's on a 13-game point streak. That is the longest active point streak in the NHL. And then Igor Shesterkin, his last 4 starts, he has 88 saves on 92 shots faced. And he's got a pair of shutouts. So what more can you really say there?
And that literally ended my playoff fantasy bid. So
Yep.
thanks for that.
Hey, man, it happens. All right. And then the trends real quick. St. Louis Blues over has hit in 5 of their last 6. The Flames have outscored opponents 91-51 in the first period this season. That plus 40 goal differential in the first period is the best in the NHL. We talk about how much the Panthers score, but in their last 5 games, it's either gone under or pushed 5 straight games. That doesn't help when the total's always at 7, right? Because a lot of games it's at 6. You get the 5-1 score and it's a push. But
I would also
that's-
expect this to go down for the playoffs. So keep an eye on that. I can't imagine I'll stay at 7 for a playoff game.
If you
No.
get them around like 5.5, I can't imagine it would. But like if you see that there, I think you have to just take
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it at about 6 most games, but time will tell. The Sabres over has hit in 6 of their last 7. The Caps over has hit in 5 of their last 7. The total has gone over in 4 of Winnipeg's last 5. Toronto is 5-1 straight up in their last 6 and 8-1 straight up in their last 9 games at home. We touched on this talking about Vancouver earlier, but they're 5-0 against the spread in its last 5 games, which is phenomenal. And San Jose is 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 games. That's probably more on the plus 1.5 side of things, but just figured we'd throw that out there. Yeah, I mean, Robert Thomas props are a great bet. St. Louis is scoring at will right now and winning at will right now. Caps on the road, one of my favorite bets right now.
They are the best road team in the NHL. And I think that's one of the points that a lot of people are overlooking them come playoff time is, they've struggled and they've had issues at home, but to win a Stanley Cup, you have to be able to steal games on the road.
And most likely we're going to be playing on the road to start the series, which I like a lot.
Same.
Yeah, I think there's because you guys
I
would
think it's
either play
impossible for us to
pretty
get.
much impossible. You
Yeah.
play the Rangers either in MSG round 1 or in
Or-
Sunrise round 1.
Right. Yeah.
Or there is a small chance of Carolina too. It's not
Tiny, but yeah.
True.
who, by the way, out of the Panthers, the Rangers, and the Hurricanes, I would gladly take the Hurricanes out of those 3.
Yeah. Maybe with the goaltending problems too. or
Yeah.
goaltending injuries rather.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, you fellas got anything else to add?
I got one more thing. I just alluded to it. Nick beat me in the semifinal of our fantasy playoff league, our fantasy hockey league rather. And
Is that the second year in a row that I've done that to you? I'm not
yes,
being
it
an
is.
ass. I'm actually.
No, I know. Yes, it is.
Okay.
And on the other side of the bracket, Mr. Matt Curtin went down to none other than Nick Manella's girlfriend, Ari. So now we have a championship between Mr. Nick Manella and his girlfriend. How are things going over there?
So let me just explain the thought process here. I was like, fuck yeah, like back in the ship, gotta love that. And then I went, oh no.
You can't win here, buddy.
I literally cannot win here. So it's like I win, I have money.
$600.
It's like I know what's gonna happen after that. Or
Doghouse. Yeah.
I lose and I have nothing but chirps in my ear for the next year and a half.
I'm not gonna lie. I received a text from someone who may or may not be your opponent in this championship today, seeking some advice.
Oh
And
yeah.
I first thing I said is, hey, he just beat me. I don't know if you want my advice because I don't know how to beat him apparently. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
The plot thickens. I like it. So Nick, let's wrap up the show with this. Would you rather win or lose the championship?
Oh, well, here's the thing. If I win the championship, it's really losing. If I lose the championship, it's really losing. So
yeah.
Flip
And
a
the
coin.
money's probably going straight to her either way. So
yeah, like she'd be like, so where are we going to dinner? I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a lot of money at stake. We were all in
It
for
is.
$50. It's like $600.
yeah.
That's a lot of Cafe Rio trips. I'll give you that.
There you
Yeah.
go. I will.
I was
the-
gonna
the
say like
one
I
bummer.
wish.
The one bummer is that you and I couldn't have been on opposite side of the bracket and faced each other while you were here in Milwaukee.
Because then we could have just used it to pay the bar tab, which would have been like
you're
a
so
tenth
right.
of
We
that.
could have just split. Yeah. Wow. Dang. I didn't even think of that.
No, I'm sad too.
Because like that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like if I was going to be in Milwaukee when this ended, I would say if I won, we're going out that night. Like we're doing some steakhouse. We're doing something like ridiculous. Like we're just going to blow through $600, but before we get to the bar.
It's
But-
also assuming everyone in our league is actually going to pay you $50. Good luck being the
Oh,
bounty
I'm
hunter
going to see
that
like,
hunts them all down.
I'm going to get like $50 from you. And then there's no chance in hell if I win, Ari pays me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
550 off the bat. There you
Right.
go.
Good
Yeah.
content.
She'll Venmo request me. She'll be like, all right, pay up. I put up with your stupid fantasy hockey shit all year. Pay me.
Well, fellas, I can't wait to be in Milwaukee this weekend. We're going to have the next episode be a banger. It's going to be a live one. We've got our intern Jackson. We've got us three, maybe even a potential guest coming on live. It's going to be a good time. We're going to take down the town. Nick's got one last note.
One last thing. Do want to say a heartfelt best wishes to the family and friends of Mike Bossy. We were saddened by the loss of him earlier this week. I would say probably outside of Ovi, the best natural goal scorer to ever grace the NHL.
Absolute legend. I have a framed, signed photo of him in my living room in Baltimore because my mom was a diehard Isles fan growing up.
That's so cool.
Yeah, rest in peace to one of the best to ever do it. And obviously, thoughts, prayers, condolences to the families affected as well. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate the love and support. Without further ado.
Class dismissed.